Have you ever wondered how a global economic superpower could fall into a decade-long economic depression? Today, we're diving into the story of the Great Depression. Picture this, the Roaring Twenties, a period of optimism, prosperity, and cultural dynamism. The United States, emerging from the ashes of the First World War, was riding high on a wave of economic growth. Industries boomed, stock prices soared, the Jazz Age was in full swing. It was a time of great wealth and greater hope. Yet beneath this shiny veneer lurked a series of systemic weaknesses. A speculative bubble was forming, and the economic foundations were not as solid as they seemed. Unbeknownst to many, the seeds of an impending crisis were being sown. The stage was set for an economic downturn that would surpass anything the world had ever seen. But as we'll see, this prosperity was not built to last. October 29, 1929, a day known as Black Tuesday, marked the beginning of the Great Depression. It was a day of chaos and disbelief as the stock market, the backbone of the American economy, crumbled. The New York Stock Exchange, a symbol of prosperity and opportunity, became the epicenter of an economic earthquake that would shake the world. Investors, once intoxicated by the allure of easy profits, watched in horror as stock prices plummeted. Within a few hours, people lost fortunes. The market, which had seemed invincible during the Roaring Twenties, was now in free fall. Panic spread like wildfire as everyone tried to sell their stocks, but there were no buyers. The more people sold, the lower the prices fell. The stock market crash was not just a financial disaster, it was a psychological blow. It shattered the illusion of endless prosperity and exposed the fragility of the American economy. The crash didn't cause the Great Depression by itself, but it was a catalyst, a spark that ignited a chain reaction of economic failures. Bankruptcies and bank failures followed, wiping out people's savings and leaving a trail of economic devastation. The economic landscape of America and the world was forever altered. In the wake of the crash, a harsh reality began to set in. The age of prosperity was over, and a new era of hardship had begun. As the 1930s began, the effects of the Great Depression were felt by nearly everyone. The once bustling economic engine of the world had ground to a near standstill, and the impacts were as deep as they were wide. At the height of the Depression, unemployment was rampant. Nearly 1 in 4 Americans were out of work. Imagine that. In any given room, count off every 4th person. Each one represents a breadwinner without a job, a family without a steady income. But it wasn't just jobs that were lost. The banking system, once thought to be as solid as the marble pillars that adorned its institutions, crumbled under the weight of the economic downturn. By 1933, nearly half of America's banks had failed, causing a ripple effect that reached every corner of the country. Savings that families had spent lifetimes building were wiped out in an instant. The safety net that so many had counted on was suddenly gone. The American dream, it seemed, had turned into a nightmare. Yet in the midst of this widespread hardship, the human spirit shone brightly. Everyday life during the Depression was a study in resilience. Families grew gardens in their backyards, known as relief gardens, to put food on their tables. Communities came together, sharing what little they had. In cities, soup kitchens and bread lines became a common sight, offering a hot meal for those who had nowhere else to turn. Shantytowns, mockingly named Hoovervilles after the then president, sprouted up across the country, offering shelter for the homeless. And while the struggle was immense, so too was the determination to endure. People adapted, they persevered, they held on to hope even in the darkest of times. The Great Depression was, without a doubt, a time of great hardship, but it was also a time of great resilience. It was a period when, even as the world seemed to be falling apart, the strength of human spirit held it together. Faced with an unprecedented crisis, governments around the world were forced to respond. As economies crumbled and poverty spread, the call for action was loud and clear. The scale of the Great Depression demanded a response that was equally far-reaching and profound. In the United States, the reins of leadership were held by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who introduced what came to be known as the New Deal. This was not a single policy, but a series of programs, public work projects, financial reforms, and regulations. The New Deal was aimed at providing relief for the unemployed and poor, recovering the economy, and reforming the financial system to prevent a repeat of the collapse. Key programs included the Civilian Conservation Corps, which provided jobs in natural resource conservation, and the Social Security Act, which established a system of old age benefits and unemployment insurance. The Works Progress Administration, another critical initiative, employed millions to carry out public works projects. These programs and reforms represented an unprecedented level of government intervention in the economy. This was a time when the invisible hand of the market was replaced by the guiding hand of government, steering the nation towards recovery and stability. These measures marked a significant shift in the role of government in the economy. It was a moment that redefined the relationship between the state and its citizens, a legacy that resonates to this day. The effects of the Great Depression extended far beyond the 1930s. This period of economic turmoil didn't just leave financial scars, it reshaped the cultural, social, and political landscape of nations worldwide. Culturally, the Great Depression sparked a revolution in creativity. Artists, writers, and musicians channeled the collective hardship into their works, creating a rich tapestry of art that reflected the struggles and resilience of the people. The echoes of this era can still be found in contemporary literature, art, and music. Socially, the Depression brought about a shift in dynamics. It highlighted the disparity between the rich and the poor, and it pushed society to question the status quo. The hardships faced by the masses during this time led to a greater emphasis on social equity and welfare. This shift in perspective laid the groundwork for many social reforms and programs that are still in place today. On the political front, the economic turmoil exacerbated tensions between nations and contributed to the rise of radical ideologies. The desperation and unrest brewing in the aftermath of the Depression played a significant role in sparking World War II, a conflict that would reshape the geopolitical landscape. Moreover, the lessons learned from the Great Depression continue to inform economic policies today. The need for financial regulation, the importance of government intervention in times of crisis, and the dangers of economic disparity are all lessons that were hard learned during this time. The Great Depression was more than an economic crisis. It was a catalyst for change, a period of hardship that forced societies to evolve and adapt. It brought about a greater understanding of economic systems, the role of government, and the importance of social welfare. The Great Depression left a lasting mark on the world, changing the course of history. Its impact can still be seen today in the policies we implement, the art we create, and the way we understand our world. So, what can we learn from the Great Depression? As we look back on this defining period in history, several key points emerge. The Great Depression, spanning from 1929 to the late 1930s, was a time of profound economic hardship, not just in the United States but across the globe. Triggered by the infamous stock market crash of 1929, the economic downturn saw millions plunged into poverty, reshaping the trajectory of nations. The widespread unemployment and financial strife were emblematic of the era, with soup lines and shantytowns serving as stark reminders of the human toll of the crisis. Yet it was also a time of resilience and collective resolve. Governments across the world, in response to the crisis, implemented sweeping reforms and relief programs, with initiatives like President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal bringing some relief to the masses. The cultural and social repercussions of the Great Depression were profound. Artists, writers, and musicians captured the spirit of the era, their works reflecting the struggles and resilience of the human spirit. The period also reshaped the geopolitical landscape, setting the stage for World War II. The legacy of the Great Depression continues to shape economic policies and social programs. It stands as a reminder of the fragility of economies, the importance of regulation, and the potential for human resilience in the face of adversity. Despite the immense hardships faced during this period, it also showed the enduring human capacity for survival and renewal. In reflecting upon the Great Depression, it's essential to remember the lessons learned. The importance of economic stability, the need for effective government intervention during crises, and the incredible power of human resilience all stand out as key takeaways. While it was a time of immense struggle, the Great Depression also serves as a powerful reminder of our ability to overcome even the most challenging circumstances. Let's remember this period not just for its hardships, but also for the lessons it teaches us about resilience, solidarity, and the enduring spirit of humanity.